Okay, great. So we're recording now. So just to begin with, can we begin by all agreeing that we'll make this video public, just with your thumb or verbal? Yes, I suggest. Okay, thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, great. So with that, I just want to thank you guys. I know that you've been, working a lot on a lot of stuff and taking time. And I just want to thank you guys for that. I know it's not necessarily as flashy as FDA presentations and all, but I appreciate the work that you guys are doing behind the scenes to get done what we need to do as a business to be able to function at our highest level. So that's really, really great. So I want to thank you both. I want to thank you, Tatiana, for really kind of shouldering the load of the business team right now as a leader, since James had to leave so unexpectedly and abruptly. So thank you for stepping up and really doing all we need to do to really manage everything. So with that, I'll just let you take it away and kind of sit back for a little bit, chime in whenever I feel the need, but I want to let you and Isa too kind of share where we're at with everything.
Okay, let me share my screen for the agenda. So we already went through the admin, which includes, sharing this video, and then I'm going to be taking the minutes today. And then next I have the handbook, but we don't necessarily have to talk about it because we're focusing on the FDA. So I'm probably, we set the deadline as the 25th of when I would be done. So that's all set. I just kept it there just in case as a reminder so we don't ever forget about it.
I really appreciate that. You would hope that we wouldn't forget about it, but you would never know, right? I think, so the 25th is next Monday. So I think that's still a reasonable expectation for us now. So let's keep going with that.
Okay. Next I had tracking time. So last meeting, we wanted to look at other options to track our times with different softwares that are easily able to be integrated with Slack. And then I said, if you had any research done, or do you want to share about what you learned?
Sorry, can you give me 1 second? I just want to move away from where I am so I can speak louder.
So yeah, when I did it, I can show mine a little. Okay, so what I did was, I kind of like debated if we would do like a project management system, which would like also have like how you would manage it, how you can manage like different tasks that you do, or also incorporates a tracking system. So that I found like Rike and ClickUp, both are good ways to do project management, and they're only $5 a month. But then like I kind of was.
And just so I'm clear, is that $5 per user per month, or $5 just the whole thing per month?
5 for the whole thing, because once like your Slack platform has it, then everyone in your team can use it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I like that you're adding the project management aspect, because we really do want to have a project management aspect to all of this. That's where we're going, with conceptually, as maybe you've heard from some of the videos and stuff, is we want. And especially, are you familiar, Tatiana, with the Gantt charts? Did you see the Gantt charts in any of those systems?
No, I like looked through like ones that are easily incorporated with Slack. That's all why.
Yeah, I think we may want to start to narrow. Now that you're kind of pointing us in the direction of the project manager, I'll let you continue, but you're giving me a bunch of ideas about where we may want to go with this. So this is great. Thank you.
And then the other thing I looked at was just a system that only tracks time. So then there was tracking time, which it has a free plan that we would be able to use for Slack. And I think the main way I feel like using a system that only tracks time would work is if we use the Slack workspace and we pay for that system. And then probably just have like another third-party app that just does tracking time, because if you use Slack, you'll be able to look at like you do a workspace and then you're able to like do project management through that. So it's
So
just either like,
is that what we want to do? Is that where we want to do our project management?
I kind of thought that was what we originally were going to do. So that's what I think
That's
maybe
what
James was thinking.
That's what James had been setting up, was that we're going to use the workspace, and then within the workspace, then we set up all of so the workspace itself is providing essentially like a project manage, it provides project management functionality.
Yeah.
Okay.
So have-
And so I'm trying to remember, so was it $8 per user per month or something like that, is what that?
Yeah, I think it was like 6 to 8. I don't know the exact pricing for that.
Okay, but it's something like in that range.
Yeah.
Okay, and so would we potentially use Wrike and ClickUp if we were using the workspace too, or the workspace would be instead of those?
I feel like the workspace, the Wrike and ClickUp would be instead of the workspace. Because those
Okay.
are just, that would be just like double project management, I feel like.
I see. And so from what you saw, which do you think is the better direction to use the Slack workspace or to use one of these other apps?
I was still kind of debating on that. I don't know if ISO2 has like an opinion on it, because I don't know, I couldn't come to a clear conclusion, because I feel like if you use like third-party ones, it's not just like, it is all in Slack, but you can like export your data separately, I guess. And it kind of might be trickier just to like overview everything. And then you have to know all like the certain commands for everything. So I don't know.
For tracking time in particular.
Yeah.
I'm reading ISO2's chats now. So tracking time, one of the benefits is productivity, which helps remotely control the track of each member's time. We can also see what each person is working on, which is great for teamwork. So that's tracking time, and what you meant there, ISO2, instead of time tracking. And then one of the cons listed was that people might feel like being watched, as we know what each person will be doing each hour listed. I feel like we need, if that's a concern, we kind of need to get over that concern, because we need to not be, yeah, we need to have that level of transparency within the system. 95% of people who use Slack reporting it being important for their team's success. Okay. So, okay, thank you for that information, ISO2. So what about Harvest and EverHour? Oh, here's ISO2 again. With free version of Slack, we have access to instant search and integrate with other apps up to 10. But that doesn't include the workspace, clearly. So that's if we wanted to go in this other direction. So it sounds like at some point I really need to take a look at the workspace and the other options and see what I weigh in on it as well. So that's kind of what I'm getting from what you're saying. What about Harvest and EverHour, Tatiana?
So for Harvest, I just kind of thought that the commands are easier to see, and you have the ability to see like who's working on what at a certain time. So like if someone's doing like, oh, if you want to see what, I don't know, ISO2 is doing, if she can help out with something, you can check if she's actually working on anything. And then for EverHour, there was like an option that allows people to, like, you can give an estimation of what you thought it would take to complete a task. And then you can see like how long it actually took to complete it. Because I remember this was like a problem with the research team.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a good compatibility with that, but it is also not a free one. It's $5 a month. So that's kind of a con to it. It's not as inexpensive as tracking time or Harvest. But
Mhm.
overall, I kind of think tracking time might be a better option, just if it's just looking to track time and that's it.
Mhm. Okay, so from your perspective, if it's just tracking time, you think tracking time is the best option out of those three, Harvest and Everhour,
Yeah, I do.
and you're undecided whether you like going the tracking time direction or going the workspace direction.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not too sure what to think of that.
Right. And so the right and the ClickUp would be, if those options would all, we would still be rejecting the workspace option. It's just that we would be going more in a project management direction if we were going in those directions.
Yeah, and then this way it would be like Slack can stay in the free version.
And then would, do you have a preference as to between those two, first of all, and then do you have a preference as to whether we go in that direction to use one of those systems without the workspace, or whether you like going with the workspace better?
I don't, between Rike and ClickUp, I couldn't find like a clear, definite one, but I think I'm leaning more towards ClickUp just because I think I just like the setup of it more, the way it looks. It's kind of easier to see, like more appealing to my eyes, I guess.
Which one did you say was?
ClickUp.
ClickUp is more appealing for you? Okay.
Yeah. And
Got it.
then, yeah.
Okay, got it. I'm reading Isa2's comment here. Hopefully she'll be able to talk again soon. The paid subscription has more benefits like automate repetitive data protection, compliance, HIPAA support, data exports, etc., teamwork outside organizations, instant research, and integration with other apps. So I assume, Isa2, when you said the paid subscription, you're referring to the workspace within Slack, or the paid subscription that gives us the workspace. Do you happen to know, Tatiana? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, great. Thanks, Isa2. So all right, well, Isa2, you'll give us your recommendations as soon as you're able to get on video to make it easier to get the recommendations for you. So I guess the bottom line for you, Tatiana, is still undecided as to which is the best option of the three. They're still kind of all on the table for you, the workspace, or if not going with the workspace, then possibly going with a project management system, and if not with the project management system, still possibly going with tracking time or one of the other systems.
Yeah. And I do think tracking time might be the better option of these three, but these were just the top three that I was able to find that fit well with the organization.
Yeah. The thing that Anthony had said was that really to do the things that we want to do within tracking time, that we also have to pay for the paid version of tracking time as well. And I think that might even be a per person charge, if I'm remembering, like $5 per month per person, it might be.
Oh, when I found it out, I can click on the link for it because I looked over it and it said, can I connect Slack using the tracking time free plan? So I just assumed that you're able to use it.
It can connect. Yes, it can connect for sure. It's just a matter of under features or what have you. Anthony was saying that the features that we want to use to be able to do the forecasting and the measurements and all of that, that would be the paid version of tracking time.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
And if you go back to the tracking time homepage there, do they have like a pricing page, maybe under features, or I don't know if they have a page where you can actually look at the cost. Doesn't look like they're necessarily showing you. Maybe when you click on try it free, or maybe when you scroll at the bottom, there's some links down there that can give us like the cost comparison or something.
Oh, plans and pricing right here.
There we go. Yeah, $5.
Oh, you can list 3 users. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, All right, we'll wait until ISA2 is able to share what she found from these things. You want to continue in the agenda until then, and we'll come back when ISA2 is ready.
Yeah, actually, here I am. What I wanted to say about tracking time is that I also like tracking time because you can easily manage people's time in and out. It's like clocking in and clocking out. So it tracks each person's time, like how much time they spent on a task, and it looks like it's like a how can I say it's like a job like software where you clock in and you clock out. So
And do you like the functionality better than the workspace for Slack? Or do you see them complementary, or how do you see it?
I feel like it better than Slack because Slack was just a bit more
We couldn't hear that part.
confusing.
Can you repeat that again?
I said I feel like I like this platform better than Slack because Slack is a bit more confusing. So this
Slack.
one is just like simple. This
Slack.
one is just simple. Yeah.
Okay. So Slack is more confusing. This one is more simple in terms of actually tracking people's time and that sort of thing. So I think part of it.
Yes, because sorry, go ahead.
No, please continue.
Because like it tells you like, oh, this is how much hours, this is how many minutes people like spending this time. So I feel like it's better when it comes to know what each person like how many hours each person put towards a task. So
Okay, and that is really important for us to be tracking. So I think at this point, with all the work that Anthony did to find it and that you guys are confirming that it's the best option, I think I'm kind of changing my mind right in the middle of saying it. I was going to say, let's try tracking time and see what people think and that sort of thing. But I am a little concerned about getting everybody all revved up on one thing and then switching to something else. But I think at this point, you guys tell me, what do you think is going to be the best way to kind of onboard everybody right now into a new solution, whether it's tracking time or whether it's the workspace option? Because essentially it's up to you guys to kind of, marshal the process and get everybody, through the whole process. And I know we're limited in our, resources right now, and ISA2 is forecasting when she's going to be leaving the project within the next few weeks. So we want to talk about that too, in terms of ISA2's availability and how much, ultimate support we have for this whole process. So that's another, consideration is, the people power that, will be involved in potentially, being like support system or helping, the team get going with all of this. So it sounds like from what you were saying, ISA2, that you would imagine a higher amount of overhead of that business team stuff to deal with to set up the workspace than to do just the tracking time. The tracking time would be a more straightforward implementation on our part.
yes.
Okay. And do you have feelings about that, Tatiana?
I think that like when you're worried about like getting it implemented, it wouldn't necessarily be harder. And if we do have like concerns of like switching it, like starting it and testing it and then switching it over, I think possibly we can start it off, have the business team use it and the executive team so they can provide their input, because we might have some biases towards it because we chose it. But then having like outsiders with the executive team choose it, if that's like a concern, I think we can go that route. But
okay, I like that idea. How quickly do you think that you guys could support the executive team in getting set up with it? How soon do you think we can have the executive team, like a full week of results from the executive team?
Possibly by like by Monday, next Monday. Because then I don't think it'd be too hard because all you have to do is just sign up for it. Well, I haven't actually like done it before, and I'm assuming is
Mhm.
that you sign up for using, these are like the logistics of it. I'm not sure if we're gonna be using we would use the United for Action email that we have, and then connect it to our Slack, which there's a video that just demonstrates how to do that. And then it's a matter of just you using it. So I don't think it's too hard. And then you can have like a week of them actually.
So when you say a week, you mean week starting now and then completing by next Monday, or week starting next Monday, completing the following Monday?
The later,
I'm sorry, which one?
the later one. So
The later
starting, yeah.
Starting next Monday. Okay. That sounds reasonable. Okay, let's do that so that we can just start moving forward. And I think that that's a good way to do it. So let's do that. So how can you guys be responsible for that and divide up whatever subtasks there are or sub actions that need to be taken within this action?
So I think is that we should both, S2 and I, would actually just start using the platform, using tracking time. So maybe by Wednesday night, we sign up for a tracking time. And I think we can possibly use the free version of it just to like get a good grasp of it. And then start using that to track our time. The only concern is I currently also have Clockify, which I use to count my hours. So I'll probably just like people who use Clockify, because I think Katie used it because she was onboarded during that time when we were using it. Like maybe just count those hours and then continue using tracking time from here on, or once you sign up, just stop.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that we can just kind of like say from this date to this date, here's all the hours in Clockify, and then from this date on, here's all the hours in tracking time. I think that works. And that's, you're getting at part of what I want to cover in the meeting today. So you mind if I just jump in while I'm thinking about it so we can make sure we got it handled, which is that we want to it's the business team's job. We've never really wrapped our arms around this, but it's the business team's responsibility to be tracking all of these hours, right? So like you're tracking your time in Clockify. The business team should be knowing what you're, reporting as your hours every week and how it's being divided up and all of that. And especially as it relates to when you're going to be done with your commitment to the project, because that was the thing, is that Isatu mentioned to me, that she felt like she was getting close to the end or close to the end. She's now thinking maybe like mid-November or something like that, which was a little surprising to me when I heard it, because I'm still feeling like we're in the middle of semester. Maybe it's further along in the semester than I'm imagining. Some of the Colorado students now are asking for mid practicum check-ins. And the point of all of this is, organizationally, as you guys know, we have to have this continuity from one semester to the next and have some overlap and all of that. So I want to make sure that we have a calendar that forecasts when each person on the team is going to be done with their practicum or their commitment of their hours, so that all of us can look on the calendar and see Isatu's ending November 15th, Tatiana's ending December 15th, this other person's December 1st, this other person is this date, and we can see it all like laid out on a calendar, so we know when people are leaving, and we can see when people are coming in, and we can do our best to be able to make sure we have a good continuous flow from one semester to the next. So that's really important for us to, as a business team, be responsible for keeping a calendar of hours and forecasts of hours and commitments, and be able to see the ending dates, so to speak, of the people coming up, and even like the anticipated hours. If if people are averaging like 10 hours per week or whatever, we can see all of that, mapped out over the calendar and see how many hours they actually did on certain weeks and, all of that. You guys get what I'm saying? That it's just, and I get that, again, tracking time or whatever it is, or the workspace or what have you is going to support with that. But I want to just kind of get at the report that I want to be able to see, the visual that I want to be able to see, on a calendar of when people are anticipating leaving based on, current commitment levels and hour flows and all of that sort of thing. So that's one like part of the calendar. And then another layer could be a separate calendar, but ideally it'd all be on the same calendar, and we could do, filtering to show summer things or other things. But also then to see when I'm responsible for the project, but essentially me, to do like mid-practicum check-ins and evaluation forms and the initial forms and all the different deadlines and all the different things, of what we have to do administratively to fulfill, our commitment to the practicums. So like Sabah just mentioned to me yesterday, I think it was, that she has a mid-practicum check-in that needs to be done by the end of the week. And so already that, that's actually more notice than I've gotten a lot of times, but still, it's still within the week, and it would have been nice to know a week out, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. And also it makes me wonder whether Cassidy and Katie are going to have similar requirements, since they're also both from the same school, you would think, although there are different practicum instructors that require different things. So it's possible that they don't, but, so we also have to kind of check in with Katie and Cassidy to see if they, but again, all of this in my mind should be on a calendar from the beginning. Like as soon as somebody is approaching us about doing a practicum with us, like all of these dates get thrown up on a calendar as soon as they come on board. Maybe we make that part of the onboarding process, that as we onboard them, we also get, okay, when is your final evaluation due? When is your practicum check-in due? What are the requirements for paperwork that we're going to have as an organization for your, commitment? So again, am I explaining all clearly enough that basically, Tatiana, you can essentially say, yes, we'll do this as a project, and then work with ISA 2 for, while ISA 2 is here with the time that she has available. And also, now we're going to start ramping up recruitment. So hopefully we'll start having some new people come in on the business team, as soon as possible as well. So how does that sound?
It sounds pretty reasonable. When you're talking about it, it made me think of maybe making like a Google Calendar, and then you input everybody's like when something has to be completed or take notes of it. But I'm not sure how that would work with, tracking your hours and forecasting. But in terms of just making sure that you meet with deadlines, that's the first thing that came to my head. But
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead and continue.
I probably have to like look through like other options, because I'm not too sure of what there is.
Yeah, I understand, and that's fine. You don't need to figure out in this moment, but let's just put it on our kind of work plan for the business team, that this is something that the business team needs to sort out, and ideally sooner rather than later, especially if we're starting, which we are with ISA 2, if we're starting to have people that are phasing out of the project in the coming weeks, then we really need to have notice. We can't just learn 2 weeks from now that 3 people are leaving the project, that week or the following week or something like that. You know what I mean? So whatever the system is going to be, let's get it in place ASAP, at least for that. We can at least ask all of the current people when their expected completion date is for the project, so that we can start to forecast that, and then simultaneously ask, are there paperwork requirements, in terms of final evaluations or whatever that we're going to have? And if so, what is the deadline, and put those on the calendar. And like you're saying, so that can be at least, like you said, a Google Calendar. Like you said, that's not necessarily going to be connected though to like their when they're going to finish based on their workflow of how many hours per week. That's, basically exactly what ISA2 is saying, is that her ending date is going to be based on, how many hours she's putting in per week. So maybe she'll dial back the hours a little bit to be able to stretch out the numbers of weeks a little bit more or something like that. So that's where some app or whatever that was taking that into consideration would be better for us. And that's where it is almost like you can do that with the project management software, right? For the project management software, you can basically say the task is going to require 120 hours. And then you can say, right now, ISA2 is saying she's going to be doing, 10 hours per week over the next 4 weeks. And so that has an ending time on this date. But if you change the data in the system and say, instead of 10 hours a week, she's now going to do 5 hours a week, then the system itself will push the due date further out in time, or what have you, the completion date of that task, right? So that's like basic project management functionality. And I do think that we do want to start incorporating project management functionality as soon as we can, because we are going to be, that is going to be a major part of how we're interacting with the world, as we're helping the world set up these projects and manage these projects. So we do need to start to get into that kind of management ourselves as well. So I think, we covered kind of a lot in there, but I think this part of the starting point, Tatiana, is maybe doing a little bit more, in depth into the project management, and in particular, put this on your list. Let me share my screen really quick. I always forget if it's 2 N's or 2 T's. I think it's Gantt or Gantt, 2 T's. That's what I thought. So Gantt chart. So put the Gantt chart on your list in terms of features in the systems that we're looking for. So it looks like, this is a good one here. So it looks like this, where basically you have these different dependencies laid out on the Gantt chart. So you have, trying to make it bigger. Let's see, this makes it bigger now. Everything, but let's see. Okay, here we go. So with this, you can see that basically, you have these different dependencies, right? So you have this task that can't start until this task is done. So if this task starts going longer, then this task starts going longer too, because it's dependent upon this one getting finished. So with a Gantt chart, you can have all of these tasks, like this one doesn't have any dependency with this one. So if this one goes longer, it's not going to impact this one, right? So you set up all of these different tasks, and then you put all the dependencies so you can see, when one slips, how that's going to affect all the other pieces, right? So we do want to start using that visual within our project and also as a model, so that we can be seeing how things change in time. So I think I almost want to make it a requirement that any project management app that we're going to consider gives us the ability to work with Gantt charts, or see things with a Gantt chart. I think it's going to be important. So let's leave it at that for now. Let's have you look at the project. And when I say you, both of you, because I think this is part of our priority right now as a team, is to look at the project management software as it relates to the calendar that we were just talking about as well, and being able to forecast, as well as the time tracking. Like if we can get one app that could do all of that, like that would be ideal, really. And maybe that one app is actually the workspace with some other apps or something like that. But let's figure that out. Let's see if we can figure that out by next week, what our best solution is going to be for that. I think, you know, if you can figure it out soon enough to know whether we should start with the executive team with time tracking next Monday, or maybe by then you'll have realized, you know what, we really need a project management system that's going to provide the time tracking as a secondary thing. So let's not go down the time tracking route. Let's use this project management system that's going to serve that purpose as well. Does that make sense? I suspect that's where we're going to end up. So I suspect it's either going to be some project management system like you're talking about, Tatiana, and likely not going to be the cheapest solution to be able to do all the things I'm saying. You know, if we're talking about other systems that are maybe $5 total or $5 a user, maybe the system that I'm envisioning is going to be like $10 or $15 a user. I don't know. And we'll have to see, you know, whatever it is, whether it's worth it for what we're looking for. But anyways, I just want to define the functionality for you right now, let you hone in on what solutions are out there. And like I said, it sounds like also it could be like James was suggesting, that really the solution is that we're using the workspace and then we're designing it to do all of these sorts of different things, maybe with some different apps or what have you. But by us using the workspace, so we can set up the workspace to do all of this for us. So, you know, I want you guys to take another scrutinizing eye at the workspace as an option amongst these other project management options we're looking at as well. Does that sound like a good plan and a well-defined plan for next week? So I think, what do you guys think is a reasonable amount of time? Thank you, I see the thumbs up as well. What do you think is a reasonable amount of time for you each to devote to that over the coming week? And simultaneously, let me pull up what you guys put down for your time estimations for the week. But what do you think, Tatiana and Isatu, as the expected amount of hours that you think it would take to do that research that we just talked about?
Maybe an hour and a half, because I'm kind of slow when it comes to doing like research, because I like take my time and try to dissect everything so I fully understand it. But
I understand. I'm the same way. What do you think, Isatu?
An hour and a half will be good.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say that a little louder?
An hour and a half would be good.
An hour and a half. Okay, so let's do that. So you each have 3 hours for the week. So let's say an hour and a half on this aspect each. Okay, and then I'll let you continue with the rest of the agenda, Tatiana, and we'll see where else you guys may have hours allocated for the week. But that feels good. And then hopefully you guys will have a good solution for us in terms of, you know, the right way to go with this. Does that sound good? Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And then for the rest of the agenda, I had, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I had Slack, which was, I wanted to see an update because I know previously we kind of mentioned everybody kind of understanding Slack and trying to figure out some functionalities. I know most of it was primarily given to James, and it was up to Isatu and I to like finally get a better grasp on it. And I want to see an update on what Isatu, how comfortable she is with the platform.
I went on Slack a couple times just to look at it and see what it will feel like for us to work on it. And it was a bit confusing because there's like too many things you need to click on if you want to create something. So that's why I was like, maybe we need to try the tracking time, because from what I've seen, it looked way easier, but it's just like what I saw. I haven't like went ahead and actually had the same experience that I had with Slack. So yeah.
Okay, makes sense. And I've also, this is just making me think about it when we talk about Slack. I know last meeting, James kind of showed like how we could use Slack. So then, wait, so it kind of made me like think about how like I like pinpointed certain areas where he talked about how to use the workspace. So if we want to go back to it, like right here, James shares his screen to show how to use the admin space. So we could definitely go back to that to see how to use Slack, especially because I don't think at this point we're complete experts at it, but we want to get to that point of being experts and kind of like the go-to person if other people have questions. So that's kind of the goal I had in mind with us using Slack.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I guess maybe working more on figuring out Slack and along with the workspace that kind of goes hand in hand with each other. So that's kind of what I had.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for saying all of that, Tatiana. So I think you're right that we do need to get more expert within the business team, like you're saying, to guide through this process. So I think let's do this investigation that you guys are going to do during the week to kind of hone in on what our ultimate solution is going to be, if there's some project management that we're going to use, or whether we're going to use the workspace perhaps in conjunction with some other apps. So can you, Tatiana, work with ISA2 to have you guys kind of figure that out over the course of the week, and then by Monday, or not Monday, but next Tuesday's meeting, have a, well, even by Monday potentially, because it would be good to share your conclusion in the executive team meeting. If you would be up for doing that, have it ready by then, and then give us, an idea and share with the other team leaders, here's what we're going to do, basically give them a plan for how we're going to start using this project management software, or start using this workspace, or what have you. So I think, you guys can figure it out, and then also, kind of get ready for the process. Although, as I'm saying it, I guess we need to have our business team meeting to kind of make a decision about that, right? I'm wondering now, with it just being the two of you, is there a time on Monday, like Monday afternoon, that we would be able to meet so that we could come up with a conclusion before the executive team meeting, so that we'll have our conclusion as a business team, and then we'll share it with the executive team, and then the executive team will implement it for everybody? That seems like that would be a better, so we don't have to wait a whole nother week, right, after our business team meeting to then, what I'm saying, we can decide in the business team first. What does that work for you guys? You guys have availability on Monday?
Yeah, I have availability on Monday. So just as long as it's out there like 11:30. Yeah.
11:30 Eastern on Monday?
Yeah, Eastern. Anything from that time towards the executive team meeting, I have some free time for that Monday.
Great.
I can also do from 11:30 to 12:30 if you're willing to work at that time, because I have class after that, so I can meet at that time.
Okay, so you're not available after that time, ISA2. That's the time for you, from 11:30 to 12:30?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just look really quickly. I think that'll work. So basically our same time as today, but doing it next Monday instead of next Tuesday, right? Okay, yeah, that'll work for me for next Monday. So let me make the change. Okay, so next Monday, we're gonna have our business team meeting. It sounds like maybe this is a better regular schedule for us, so that we are making decisions in advance of the executive team, and then letting the executive team carry out the decisions that we're making on this. Do you guys think that's going to be a better flow for us? Are you guys available the Mondays for the rest of the semester instead of Tuesdays?
I will be available. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, that works for me too.
I couldn't hear you, Isatu, I'm sorry.
Me too.
Can you say it louder? It's coming through very quiet. Or put your
It
thumb.
works. It works for yeah. It works for me too.
Okay, it works for you too. Okay, great. Okay, so let's make that a permanent change now. So now our business team meetings are 11:30 to 12:30 on Mondays instead of Tuesdays, at least for the rest of this semester. Okay, great. Okay, great. So we need to update that in the onboarding document and wherever else we have our schedule of meetings. So when people are seeing our schedule of meetings, they're seeing the right time. So who can be responsible for updating that?
I could update it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tatiana.
Perfect segue into the next task, which was the onboarding document. So I know we've decided on using Slack, but on the onboarding document, there is no indication of members joining Slack and using tracking time. So I just wanted to put it out there and make sure that this might not include tracking time since this is something that we're going to be working on, but having something added to the onboarding document so that new members know what to do when they join.
Yeah, that sounds good. So it sounds like there's some already basic minimum of what people can do, what people on the team have already done basically to get signed up on Slack, right? So, but it sounds like we may have some additional things to add to the onboarding document once we decide on a project management package or whatever way we're going to end up going with that, right?
Yeah.
So I think what you're suggesting is we do some updating now right away. So if somebody joins later this week, that the Slack information is in there for them to get set up with Slack. And then once you guys make the evaluation, once we meet next Monday to decide what our long-term solution is going to be, then we'll add that into the onboarding document as well, like next week or something like that. Is that what you're imagining, Tatiana?
Yeah, that sounds, well, I didn't think of it like that, but when you say it, I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. But yeah, I think that would work out fine because we still have things to work on. But then do you want to be involved with adding it to the onboarding document, just like them adding Slack or managing it? Because if not, I could do it.
Yeah, I could do it.
Okay. That's perfect. So you'll be in charge of that, and then later on we'll have to update it. And then next thing,
I'm sorry, before we move on, Tatiana, can we set a time frame for that, Isatu, for when you'll be done by, so we can have that in the minutes and know the expectation?
Are you talking about my hours or?
No, talking about when you'll be done with the adding the Slack to the onboarding document by, when that'll be completed by.
I can do it by Friday.
Okay, by end of day Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. Okay, so you've got that down, Tatiana. And so that, Isatu, how much time are you anticipating allocating for that out of your 3 hours for the week?
That shouldn't be long, like 15 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, something like that.
Okay. So again, I think, Tatiana, you can see what I'm doing and you can see, what we need to do with whatever app we're going to do is to take all of our actions that we're planning out for the week, divide them if they're to be divided into sub actions where different people are working on different things, whatever it is, defining what the expected number of hours is, setting up who it is, what the expected number of hours, what the deadline is going to be, and then having a system where we're putting all of that in, and then a system where we're tracking that to see, okay, so the deadline has arrived, was it completed, how many hours was put in, was it over, under, all of that sort of stuff. So again, I can describe it in words very clearly to you and to the team. Now I'm asking you guys as the team to find the app that does all of this, for us effectively, so that, we've got it all automated, and we're doing this all the time with everybody, with every task, with every team, So again, we've been talking about that for a long time, but I'm ready for us to actually get there. So we've got it all mapped out, all the time for us. It's time as a team that we are materializing that vision for ourselves, right?
Makes sense.
Okay, great.
Okay, and then I guess I'll move on to the next thing I had on agenda, which is just, I know we're almost out of time, but I just wanted to hear a quick little update on the team hours. And I know that we decided to send messages out on the Friday, which I too probably did. And I just want to see, like, did it end up working? Just an update on that. Or did everyone complete their hours?
Well, we ended up doing it in the team meeting last week, right, on Thursday. So that ended up making it, work out because we did it all manually together in advance to get it all, know in advance what the hours were going to be. We did that, you'll recall. I know you were dropping in and out of that meeting, right, Tatiana? That was the one that you weren't able to stay.
It was a fire alarm. Freaked me
Right,
out.
the fire alarm meeting. So during the fire alarm meeting, again, we were trying to figure out whether we should commit to the FDA presentation or not. So we wanted to see how many total hours we would have available for the week. So we went ahead and did it in the meeting directly. So that ended up making it work because we just did it. So we didn't even get to see, whether people were just remembering this week or not. So, we'll have it now. ISA2, so you're gonna create some reminder like midday on Friday or something like that, or Thursday, or what did we decide is when you're gonna remind people in advance?
Yes, I needed to remind people, no, I think it was 12 on Friday, by noon on Friday. So they can add in their hours.
By noon on Friday. Okay, so that'll be the advance notice. And then on noon on Monday, ISA2 is when you'll take a look to see if there's anybody that hasn't done it yet, so that you can send them a direct message reminding them that the deadline just passed and we really need to get their hours, as soon as possible. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
Okay, and then next thing I had were any new ideas or work to be shared? Any possible ideas?
I did write down a couple of notes. Let me see if we got to them all. And also, just to let you guys know, we're going to have Maria and I are meeting at 12:30. I think. Let me just double check. I want to make sure she confirmed that, but I think we are. Oh no, we're doing 1 p.m. So let me send a note to Johnny because I need to switch up my meetings. So I'm going to give us 5 extra minutes if we need it until 12:35. Does that sound, Matt? We'll be done by then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I just wanted to acknowledge Tatiana. I was talking to Jared earlier about how you helped me a lot, and sometimes, because he was asking me how some of the hours were used, and I told him sometimes we would just have a one-on-one meeting, it happened twice or 3 times, me and Tatiana, and she would just help me out if I needed help with something, whether it was a task or I had a question. And so I was just telling him, because I know it was really confusing on how my internship is ending soon. But I joined in August. I joined midway August, I think August 17th. And I just wanted to give him a heads up because I just didn't want to wake up one day and be like, oh, I got my hours. And he's going to be like, what do you mean you got your hours? So I'm just projecting like midway through September, like maybe even September 17th, which will mark my 3 months in the project. Will, I will have, which will be like 12 weeks. So I'll probably be done. But that's all, like, it all depends on how I'll calculate and schedule my hours from next week. So I was just thinking about maybe like putting in less hours just to be here more for the project. So yeah, I just wanted to like say that so everybody understands.
Yeah, thank you, Isa, for saying all of that. Thank you, first of all, for acknowledging Tatiana, and I'll let her respond as well. But thank you for the willingness to be able to, stretch out the hours so you're still available for the project for longer, or whatever, it takes to help keep supporting the team and what we're doing. I really appreciate that. That's really awesome. Did you want to say something, Tatiana?
Yeah, I say don't worry about it. Of course, it's because I feel like as a team, we're all here to help each other out. And if you're ever struggling with anything, especially on the program, I think you should always reach out, because there's going to be someone who's going to help you out. Don't worry too much about it. And I'll always be here if you need more help. And if I have questions, I'll definitely go to you too. So,
Awesome.
thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, thank you for making the acknowledgement, Isa, too, and thank you, Tatiana, for that extra effort that I wasn't aware of that you were putting in to help Isa too and everything. That's really great. Awesome. So appreciate that. It's really good. Yay team. Okay, great. So anything else, Tatiana, you want to cover before we wrap up for today?
I think we got pretty much everything covered. We know what we should be doing.
Yeah, I think the only thing is, but this is where, do it manually, do it wherever you need. Let's see, we identified ISA 2 is going to be on the evaluation of the software for an hour and a half, like you, for this week. She's got 15 minutes or maybe a little more for the onboarding, to add Slack to onboarding. Let's map out the full 3 hours that ISA 2 has available, and the full 3 hours that you have available, how it's going to be divided up. And if there's still time that you have that's unallocated, let's go ahead and see where that should be allocated for the team for the week, or if maybe it should be given back, and maybe ISA 2 could use that for recruitment, or you could use that for I'm sorry, I'm spacing the outreach, right?
Recruitment too.
Recruitment.
We're both in recruitment, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, and my mind is just like flipping. Okay, yeah. So whatever. So let's figure that out. So again, that we can be really exact about the hours this week, and making sure that we're using them most effectively and most efficiently, covering what we need to do for the business team, and then if there's any additional hours to make them available to the other teams. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
One last thing real quick. Jared, I forgot to ask you, like, in our meeting, did you get to look at the flyers that I sent through?
Yeah, I didn't look at the latest versions. I had looked at the previous versions. I didn't look at the versions that you sent today. So,
Okay.
So I do want to look at those, and remind me, we're working with a deadline here that if I am able to give you a sign off by a certain time, then you're going to be able to post them today. Otherwise, it's going to be next week that you're going to be back on campus. Is that what we had decided?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the cutoff for when I need to let you know by today?
Is 1:30 okay? Like in an hour or 2?
Yeah, I'm going to be in meetings between now and 1:30, so I'm not going to have more time to evaluate it before then. It's going to,
because I needed to print them off, and it's like very far in campus. So how about 2 o'clock? I mean 2:30?
say that again.
Is 2:30 okay?
2:30. It may work. It's going to kind of depend on how much I feel like needs to be edited, if anything needs to be edited. Let me do my best, because there's still other things that are also like urgent today. including the FDA presentation and what I need to do with research team and a bunch of different things. So let me do my best with that. Let me make some notes to get to it as quickly as I can. And I think, again, if I'm able to get to it by then and you're able to print it out and put it up, that will be awesome. And if we're not able to do it today, we just won't do it today, but I'd like to do it today if we can. So let me make some quick notes about that.
Okay, because I was thinking about just putting it in the union, but then I know there's like the public health building. Also, there's other buildings that I wanted to post it in, and it's not only like one floor, so it's gonna take me like a while to like stick them up.
I got it.
So
And
yeah.
and I assume that if you stick up whatever version you come up with today, we can always replace that version next week if we want to, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's just see if we can get to a version today that works for today. So I've got it down on my list and I'll see how quickly I can do that with you. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, excellent. So, okay, good. Anything else for us to cover in our meeting today?
But I must say, I do like ICE2's updated flyer compared to the previous one. So,
Great.
but regarding today's meeting, I think everything's been pretty much covered.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, Isatu, that's great with the acknowledgement. Thank you, Isatu. I'm looking forward to seeing the new version. And thank you guys for this meeting and everything the business team is doing. Thank you for the great leadership, Tatiana, and the great work, Isatu. Awesome. Yay, business team. Woohoo.
Okay.
All right. You guys have a great day. I will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.